Good morning, traders. This is your daily market breakdown on the GBP USD. We can see that the price pushed quite aggressively into the upside. It struggled to break this previous high. It finally broke through. It then failed to create a new higher high, and it's just begun tanking all the way down. We see a beautiful change of character here. So at this point in time, I'm actually looking for shorting opportunities on the GBP USD and looking for longs on the DXY. And we'll take a look at that in just a moment. So we can quite clearly see that we are producing lower highs and multiple lower lows. What I'm waiting to see at the moment is on the 4-hour frame, this original push up, push down, breaking the market structure. And I think on the hour, I'll drop down to the hour. On the hourly frame, I've identified this as the potential retracement back into the upside. And what I'm hoping to see is that the price is going to come up here. So I'm actually in a long position at this point in time, and I want to see it fail to break this high here. So once it fails to break this high, and hopefully on the hourly, it will also touch the 200 EMA, I then want to see this come down, breaking a market structure into the downside, and then I will begin to short this position all the way down to one of these previous demand zones in the downside. So that's my setup at the moment on GBP USD. I'm also looking at a very similar setup on the Euro US dollar, whereby the price has been trending or pushing down quite aggressively. It's failed to produce new higher highs. Sorry, I'll drop back out to the 4-hourly frame here, guys. So similarly, it is producing lower highs and multiple lower lows. And so what we've seen is that the price came down, it broke market structure. We are trending into the downside. The price then pushed back up and it failed to produce a new higher high. So it failed to go beyond this point up here. We saw this beautiful liquidity grabbing candle and it began to push again back into downside. Now, what we're doing or what we're seeing is this area here is a very key area of support. And so what I think is supposed to happen now is on the lower time frames, the price needs to come up to at least roughly around this area. I'm looking at this as hopefully a TP. It needs to come up, it needs to grab liquidity. Hopefully it will spike around here before then pushing down. I think there'll be another reaction around this area. I think there'll be a very small little pullback reaction before then aggressively moving into the downside. So at this point in time, I'm in that long position, but overall, I'm looking for those shorting opportunities. So this is a bit of a shot in the dark. I just want to trade that pullback. I enjoy trading pullbacks before then entering into a larger position size into the downside on the Euro US dollar. So what we'll do is, okay, we'll take a look at the DXY and then we'll go over to USD JPY in just a moment. So following on from a lot of our major currency pairs, we like to analyze the DXY. And the reason for this is that it gives us an insight into where our major currencies are going to be going. So I don't directly trade the DXY, although some of our traders do. But it's really good to analyze and so that we can determine whether or not our major currency pairs are going to move in the direction we want it to. At this point in time, we can see, by the way, it's just been trending aggressively into the upside, and this is largely fueled by the uncertainty and the conflict. It's just ongoing, which has just been a very frustrating period of time to trade. Technical analysis somewhat goes out the window occasionally through these uncertain times. Anyway, we've seen that the price is pushed up. It is failing to break through this key area of resistance. So what I believe needs to happen is that the price needs to come down, hopefully to the weekly. It will be great if it can go to the monthly before then pushing up and finally breaking that area of resistance. And this would be my general area of where the price will likely end up going on the DXY. So this is really good. And this is kind of playing very nicely into these small time long positions on the euro dollar and the on the British pound to US dollar. We're hoping to see that come down slightly, and that's going to go up on our major currency pairs and hopefully our TP before then entering into those shorting opportunities, waiting for the US dollar to push into the upside. So we're likely going to be looking at this area because we could be seeing some potential liquidity resting around these areas over here. And so that's why I've chosen that as my target for where we'll likely see another reaction before continuing our leg into the upside. So we are trending up on the DXY, and in essence, that then reflects on our major currency pairs that we are trending down. USD JPY, so again, I want to follow a very similar pattern to the DXY. I think we're going to see an initial pullback. How deep that pullback is going to be on JPY, considering economically they're having some very serious issues with their currency. I'm just monitoring this. I'm likely not going to trade this unless I see it come down. I see a very strong reaction here or a strong reaction here. And then I would enter into a long position, but I'm not shorting this pair at the moment. I'm just going to keep monitoring and seeing what happens. But my general setup at the moment is a potential shorting short down to this previous low here on the 4-hour frame, or toward this 4-hourly demand zone. If it is going to go down, it might even go lower to maybe this area here, where there is potential liquidity resting below that low, before then reversing into the upside. And hopefully that will follow the DXY's pattern as well. So looking for those long positions, but I'm not playing around with the shorting opportunities at the moment on that. Heading over to XAU USD, we are in a downtrend. We can quite clearly see this on the 4-hourly frame. So we are now looking for those shorting opportunities. It was a beautiful trade that I completely missed by it produced a new low down here. It pushed up. It looked pretty good. It looked like a bit of a reversal. And then it grabbed whatever liquidity was resting below here. So the price came up. It pulled back down. It pushed up, grabbing whatever liquidity was there. And then it came down and it continued to go, breaking that market structure. And that is a general market structure shift into that downside. And then what happened is that the price had come up and it failed to break that high, that previous high. And it continued to push down. And so the opportunity would have been roughly around here. So this would have been the opportunity whereby I could have entered at this point in time around here and just targeted some of these previous lows below. So what I'm actually waiting for at the moment on XAU USD is I'm hoping when London session starts, that we'll actually see a push back into the upside toward this area, maybe toward the weekly, maybe toward the daily, and then I'll enter into that shorting opportunity. To be honest, guys, I've been away from the charts for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So I still need to play a little bit of catch up on my technical analysis, especially with the XAU USD. So I'll just keep on monitoring this week. I'm not going to be entering into any trades on XAU unless I see that London session push back up and then a very strong rejection candle. Then I'll enter into a shorting opportunity on the XAU USD. BTC USDT, absolutely beautiful. By the way, guys, I'm so happy with this potential, this reversal. It does seem to be playing out quite nicely. What I'm a little concerned about is obviously there's quite a lot of, so just going back a little bit here, guys, throughout this year, I have been reiterating that I generally don't see any issue with BTC retracing back toward the $80,000 mark by sometime toward the end of this year, right? So I'm looking for those reversals, and I think we're in that reversal zones at the moment, especially on the higher time frames. What I'm looking at right now is, as you guys know, I don't trade BTC, but I do analyze it. We're seeing this very strong push into downside. We're likely going to continue seeing that push into downside, and these are going to be my areas that I am going to be monitoring very closely. So I think, and I don't think BTC is going to drop below this mark. What's that mark? It's about 61,300. It might spike below it, but I don't think it will be a full body candle close below it. And what I'm hoping to see is there's likely a lot of liquidity resting below these lows. And so if BTC continues this trend down, I think we're going to see some sharp reactions from these areas. Okay. So if I start to see a really nice sharp reaction from here, I'll probably enter into a long position with my stop below this region here. Okay. So generally looking for those long opportunities, but yeah, I do think BTC is going to continue going down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to surpass the 61.3K mark. And I'll be looking at these areas for my potential entry points just to see what the price does when the price does retrace back below these previous lows. And there it is, guys. That is your daily market breakdown.